Hey folks, how's it going? Rome Gaming here, back into the video. Today's episode, we're taking a look at the Phase 3 Holy Paladin for Season of Discovery. This guide is going to go over runes, rotation, and talents. That being said, let's go ahead and get started with the talents first. So in the first row here, we have 5 awesome points that we can put into Divine Intellect. Increases your total intellect by 10%. That is extremely strong, so we're going to put all 5 points into that. Our other options, Divine Strength, so that's probably if you're running like Retribution Paladin. We'll put 5 points into Spiritual Focus, which will reduce the pushback whenever we're casting spells by 70%. In row 3, we're going to be putting 3 points into Healing Light, which is going to increase the amount healed by our Holy Light and Flash of Light spells by 12%. Put 1 point into Consecration, consecrates the land beneath the Paladin, dealing 64 holy damage over 8 seconds to enemies who enter the area, and then 1 point into Improved Lay on Hands. This will reduce the cooldown of Lay on Hands, as well as grant an armor bonus to whoever you use Lay on Hands with. Put 5 points here into Illumination after getting a critical effect from your Flash of Light, Holy Light, or Holy Shock Heal spell. Gives you a 100% chance to gain mana equal to the base cost of the spell. This is really good, right? Because the more that we critical strike, the more mana that we get returned. So really quick, I'm going to go into one of our runes here. So this is going to work super well with Fanaticism, our head rune. So Fanaticism increases your critical strike chance with holy spells by 18%. So the more that we critical strike, the more mana we are getting returned. So we're going to be running Fanaticism in our head rune. I just wanted to go over that really quick. We'll get back to the talents, but I just wanted to show the synergy between those two talents. 2 points into Improved Blessing of Wisdom. We'll be putting 1 point into Divine Favor. So when activated, gives your next Flash of Light, Holy Light, or Holy Shock spell a 100% critical effect chance. When you use this spell, you want to be using this on Holy Light whenever possible. Holy Light is going to be more mana efficient than Flash of Light, as well as do more healing overall. And since it's instant cast, might as well use a Holy Light over a Flash of Light, assuming that you don't overheal too much and waste too much mana. We need 2 points into Lasting Judgment. We're going to put 5 points into Holy Power to increase the critical effect chance of our holy spells by 5 more percent. And then 1 point into Holy Shock. One thing to note about Holy Shock, we're not going to be using it too much. It is extremely mana intensive. Only going to try to use it in emergency situations to keep somebody from dying. It is on a 30-second cooldown, and it does an okay-ish amount of healing, but mainly just uses for emergency situations only. We're going to be putting 5 points here into Improved Devotion Aura, so increases the armor bonus of our Devotion Aura by 25%, and of course 5 points into Improved Blessing of Might to increase the attack power bonus of our Blessing of Might on our raid members by 20%. Alright guys, that's our talents. Let's go ahead and jump into the runes. Now, as we said earlier, we are running Fanaticism in our head rune. The more we critical strike, the more mana that we get back due to Illumination. And this is one of the main pros of Holy Paladin, is we are one of the most, if not the most, mana efficient healer in the game. So the longer that the fight goes on, the more powerful we are in comparison to other healers. Now, most other healers do out heal us in terms of HPS, but not many healers outlast us. So Holy Paladins are typically considered pretty good for progression content, right? So like at the start of a phase, DPS is low, fights are long, so you need healers with a good mana pool. So that's where Holy Paladins kind of have some of their strength. Then in our chest rune, we're going to be running Seal of the Martyrdom. So it fills you with the Holy Spirit for 30 seconds, causing each of your melee attacks to deal 50% weapon damage to your target, but you lose health equal to 10% of the damage inflicted. While the seal is active, your party and raid members within 40 yards gain mana equal to 20% of the damage that you take from this seal. So this is going to be very important for us to get mana back. So this is going to be really important during our downtime when there's nothing to heal, right? We can seal a Martyrdom and we can auto the boss and we get a whole bunch of mana back. So we'll cover this a little bit more once we get into our healing priority, but just know this is going to give us a bunch of mana back through our auto attacks. In the wrist rune, we're running Purifying Power, reduces the cooldown on Exorcism and Holy Wrath by 50%, and Holy Wrath can now be cast on any target and will stun undead and demon targets for 2 seconds. Not really the best rune. We don't have a ton of great options here, so we do take Purifying Power. And the reason we take Purifying Power is because we'll go down to the leg rune. we do take Exorcist in our leg rune. And once again, we take Exorcist in our leg rune because there's really nothing else to take. Divine Sacrifice on paper looks okay-ish, but in reality, I think it's a pretty terrible leg rune, so Exorcist is really our only option here. So this can be just good extra damage that we can get out. This does, again, synergize with Purifying Power. So, if you have any sort of downtime, feel free to cast Exorcist. If your mana's okay, more damage is never a bad thing. On our hand rune, we're running Beacon of Light. The target becomes a beacon of light to all members of your party or raid within a 40-yard radius. Any heals you cast on a party or raid members will also heal the beacon for 100% of the amount healed. You can only put this on one target. So this is going to be going on the tank that is taking the most amount of damage, almost always the main tank. And the way this works, right, is you put the beacon on the tank and you can heal other people, and all that healing will go onto the main tank. So this gives us somewhat of an AoE healing profile. Not really, but what you can do, right, is you can heal almost 2 tanks at once. So this is why historically, right, Holy Paladins have been the tank healers and not necessarily the raid healers. So on top of us being extremely mana efficient, we also do extremely strong, potent single target healing. That's another huge pro of Holy Paladin. In our waist rune, we are running Sheath of Light. Dealing damage with your melee weapon increases your spell power by an amount equal to 30% of your attack power for 1 minute. In addition, your critical healing spells heal the target for 60% of the amount healed over 12 seconds. This, again, also synergizes really well with Phantasm, right? The more critical strike we have, the more chance we have to proc the secondary portion of Sheath of Light. Your critical healing spells heal the target for 60% of the amount healed over 12 seconds. For the leg rune, we already talked about Exorcist. We're going to be doing that in our downtime. And then on the foot rune, we are running Sacred Shield. Each time the target takes damage, they gain a Sacred Shield, absorbing X amount of damage and increasing the Paladin's chance to critically hit with Flash of Light by 50% for up to 6 seconds. In addition, causes your Flash of Light to heal targets with Sacred Shield for an additional 100% over 12 seconds. They cannot gain this effect more than once every 6 seconds, last 30 seconds. Also note, this spell cannot be on more than one target at any one time. So something else that you're going to be putting up on the tank, you can throw Sacred Shield up on probably, once again, the main tank, and this is just going to kind of passively proc, but it is something that you want to maintain at all times. So this is also going to be a really core reason as to why we use Flash of Light over Holy Light. You can see all this critical strike that we're going to be getting from Flash of Light due to Sacred Shield. Okay, now let's talk about some of the pros of Holy Paladin, right? We are one of the most mana efficient healers in the game. We kind of talked about that already, and then we have huge single target healing due to our critical strike healing. So again, your main focus is going to be putting a Beacon of Light on one tank and then spam healing the other tank or other party members to keep the tank up. So that kind of segues us into the pre-pull, right? Ensure you have Beacon of Light up always on the tank and make sure your blessings are active, whether that's Blessing of Wisdom on yourself or Blessing of Might on melee. For our single target and AoE healing, it's pretty much just going to be Flash of Light, right? We don't have a huge AoE profile. That's why we are the tank healers for the most part. The only time Holy Light, again, works into your rotation is through Divine Favor right here. So Divine Favor into a big Holy Light. Holy Light does more healing. It's you just get more value out of it, right? For that free instant cast heal. For emergency healing, right, we can use Lay on Hands, but it will drain all of our mana. I do believe you can also use on yourself for a very low mana return. So that is why we put this into the emergency category. Under the maintain section, we always want to keep up Sheath of Light. We always want to get at least 1 auto in per 1 minute for Sheath of Light. If you don't remember what it does, dealing damage with your melee weapon increases our spell power by an amount equal to 30% of our attack power for 1 minute. In addition, our critical healing spells heal the target for 60% of the amount healed over 12 seconds. So very strong there. We also want to maintain a Sacred Shield on the tank, right? That's going to increase our Flash of Light critical strike chance, thus granting us more mana in return. So that plays a big part into our mana sustain. And then Seal of the Martyrdom. more mana return per auto, so we just want to make sure, right, that we're kind of weaving in as many autos as we can between casts. Then downtime filler, I pretty much have the same thing here by accident, but again, always be meleeing the boss. Try to melee as much as you can to get more mana returned, and then we can use things like exorcism. You could also use holy shock if the mana pool allows for it, if it is an easier fight. And then just some other tips down here, right? We want to save divine favor again for holy light, and then probably for like the third time I've already said this, I feel like you want to weave in as many autos as you can in between casts. All right, guys, that's it for this video. If you enjoyed it, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. We'll see you on the next one.